Pissed Off Politically Speaking with your host Scott Jones, only on the 405media.com, Mondays 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific.
Janine Turner, thanks for being with us.
Oh, it's great. Pleasure. This whole liberal mantra that these ridiculous things that are being spun in a way that aren't true are very dangerous for our country. We may not be the best country, but show me a better one.
Right.
And we are good.
Join host Scott Jones for Pissed Off Politically Speaking on the 405media.com.
You're on the 405.
One shot, baby, there you go again. 2 shots and I think you know again. 3 shots come, you might find your daddy gone. 1 shot, baby, there you go again.
Welcome to Unapologetically Bunny. I am your host, the unprepared but always charming and lovely Bunny. And tonight we have a show that will likely be all over the board. Not that my shows are typically all that organized to begin with, but anyway, tonight could be exceptionally chaotic because this week alone I have already worked nearly 50 hours and I have another 12-hour day tomorrow for the man. So if I start speaking in tongues or something, you know why. Yeah, so, originally I thought about wussing out. I have to be honest. I thought, it's okay for me to lay in bed and chill out tonight because I'm probably too bitchy to be on the air anyway. But oh no. The show goes on because that's the Bunny way. Okay, it would have been nice to watch old movies and whine to my husband about how tired I am, but then I thought better of it. So here I am with you good people on the 405, and we are live. And welcome, whoop whoop, as Angie would say. And speaking of Angie and Pole or Clay, I like to say Powell. They are actually saving my bacon tonight. They've done it before. They have saved my bacon plenty of times, but tonight they saved me because they're going to come on the second half of this show, leading into their show after mine, so that I don't have to be all that focused and great for 60 minutes. Yeah, that's called teamwork. We at Polititainers here on the 405, we all kind of work together. Jason wasn't feeling good, and I know Clay gave him an assist. They're helping me. Really, Angie and Clay are like the VIPs tonight because they have kept the 4-hour block going. So if you see them, give them a big hug and a kiss and tell them thank you, because if it had not been for them tonight, you may not have had the 4-hour block. So they're going to be with me on the second half of the show. And that should make it even more chaotic, don't you think? Because, I'm doing this show like a girl tonight. Like a girl. Yeah, that was funny. Wasn't that funny? Okay, it wasn't funny. It was horrible. But like a girl, if you watch the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, I did too, but if you watch the Super Bowl, a lot of people watch the Super Bowl because they think the commercials are going to be great. They used to be. It used to be like the Oscars of commercials. Wow, they were crap this year, you guys. Oh my God, it's like the liberals made every commercial that you could think of for the Super Bowl. They had PSAs about, I don't know, crying women and dead trees, and it was all touchy-feely. The nationwide stuff was really bad. Hi, I'm a little boy. One day I'm going to fly a plane, and I'm going to have purple donkeys, and I'm a happy little boy, but I'm going to die because my parents don't take care of me. I need health insurance and life insurance. Oh, my God. Is that what the audience who's watching the Super Bowl is like? Hey, man, I really like feeling bad about kids having accidents and dying. I can't wait to watch the next touchdown. It's like the Like a Girl thing. This was an always maxi pad commercial. Yeah, that makes sense during the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, women. More men watch the Super Bowl. I get it. We're empowered. We can vote. But most of us don't watch football, okay? But, I would love to sit in that marketing room and go, gee, I have a great idea. Let's put a maxi pad commercial on during the Super Bowl. Booyah, that's going to get viewers. Are you shitting me? I'm sorry. It is just not what you think about. I'm thinking I'm going to see beer commercials and truck commercials, and I'm going to see Dorito commercials. And there was one Dorito commercial, which wasn't bad. But really, most of them were just garbage, especially the one Like a Girl. If you missed it, you're lucky. But, the beginning of the commercial was a bunch of boys and men making fun of the subject Like a Girl. There's a dude running like a big pansy. He goes, I run like a girl. And there's a little kid doing something else stupid. All the guys do really dumb, bad things. And they say, I'm doing it like a girl. And then these girls come on and they're like, well, we do it like a girl too. And they're all running in place. They're all real badass because they're girls. And I'm watching this commercial and I'm thinking to myself, is like a girl really an insult? Right? I'm a girl. Everything I do is like a girl. And I don't feel bad about doing it like a girl because I'm a girl. My 9-year-old daughter, guys, she watches this commercial. She has no idea yet about maxi pads or any of that nonsense. She's 9. She turns around and she looks at me and she says, Mom, I don't need any commercial to empower me. Because we were talking about this commercial and I'm joking with my husband about, oh, now I'm empowered because it's this maxi pad commercial, y'all. And my daughter looks at me and she's like, Mom, I don't need a commercial to empower me. Well, of course, this inspires me to go out and kick the hornet's nest, as I often do. And so I went out and I apologized. I said, on behalf of women who are not complete douchey idiots and thin-skinned daisies or whatever, I apologize for this dumb commercial shaming you and emasculating you from, the tampon people. Sincerely, P. Bunny. Well, the feminists, of course, didn't like that. And, oh, men don't get made fun of. Poor men. They really have a problem with men. And the point was, it's not, oh, poor men. It's, we shouldn't have to emasculate men to build up women, right? If we're equal, why would we do that? How does that commercial make sense for us to say, look at how stupid these guys are by insulting us for doing it like a girl? When really, how many of us think the whole thing like a girl is an insult? I don't see a thing wrong with it. I do things like a girl. I do things like a bunny. I do things like a boss. That is the end of the day. It's about who you are individually, not what some dumbass says. Oh, you do things like a girl. I throw like a girl who played softball for 14 years. You don't want to catch that ball. There is something to be said for being a girl. It reminds me, and I'm going to talk about Sally Cohn, of course, on the douchebag list. Shocking she made the list. But she wrote a whole blog about her daughter, who I think is close to my daughter's age, and how they went to Disneyland, right? And of course she mocks all the sprinkles and sparkles and prettiness of Disneyland because, as a lesbian, nothing can be pretty. And she starts talking about how it's almost as if she's disappointed that her daughter is a girl. She's talking about how her daughter likes dresses. Her daughter likes Disney princesses. Her daughter likes pink. And she starts talking about gender roles and all this other crap. And I just wanted to say, she's a little girl, dummy. And little girls like that shit. That's how it works. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with her. Sally went on to talk about how she had to bribe her daughter to wear jeans. And why? Why not let her wear whatever the hell she wants to wear? Who are we to define who our children are at that age? Make sure they have clothes on. They're not walking around in those shoes. Make sure their stuff fits. But come on. Is it so wrong that she was dressing like a girl? I think it's great. And can you imagine how horrible it must be to have a mom who is ashamed of you because you want to be a little girl when your mom is a girl too? I just don't understand it. I don't get it. Maybe you guys can help me. What is this idea that, I think it was another piece I saw. It was they were making fun of men and they were asking ask men questions or something. And of course the feminists were coming out and saying things like, what does it feel like to get a real wage? Holy shit. Get a real job and you'll find out, dummy. The reality is men are not responsible for women's problems. Women are responsible for women's problems. And no damn maxi pad commercial in the middle of the Super Bowl is going to change that. I was really embarrassed about the messaging of this ad. What really made the feminists angry, it wasn't my apology to men. Of course, that didn't make them happy because, men suck. But what really made them mad was when I said, my 9-year-old daughter thought that commercial was stupid. And I basically quoted her saying, I don't need a commercial to empower me. That made feminists angry. I had 3 women insult me for being a mother who's raised a little girl who thinks like that. I'm a bad mom for raising a little girl who is independent-minded and strong and who does not worry about a stupid commercial empowering her or telling her she's weak. That somehow made me the bad mother. So, of course, I was not pleased with these women, and it got kind of infuriating and nasty. But at the end of the day, I will tell you that on Twitter, I typically get, I can get up to 100, 200 likes and RTs. That's about average. There were almost 1,200 favorites and almost 900 RTs of my tweet about my little girl. So more people got it and understood it than the idiot feminists who were mad at me because my daughter can think for herself. But, God forbid, because that is not the feminist agenda. Women shouldn't think for themselves. They should think as they're told to think, which is what the agenda says. Yeah, like a girl. And, I have to talk about the T-Mobile piece as well. Because here we are having, on one hand, that we're saying like a girl is a bad thing. Then T-Mobile brings on Sarah Silverman. And I don't even know who the other idiot was in the commercial. That's how distracted I was that it was Sarah Silverman. And beyond the fact that I couldn't believe they put her in the commercial to begin with because she's a complete idiot. But, looking at the commercial itself, we're watching her talk about all the problems that they're going through and how busy they are. And suddenly, there's Sarah Silverman talking about how she's birthing children in her basement. Yeah, and she has a new mom down there. And she says to the new mom, oops, sorry, it's a boy. All right, so here we have one commercial saying, hey, this is really bad because you do things like a girl. And then we have another commercial saying, sorry, it's a boy. The same company did an ad about Kim Kardashian and how she has her private stash or whatever. She is talking about how only you can see my photograph because of T-Mobile. It's all Kim Kardashian. And I can't believe that the feminists are giving me a hard time because my daughter thinks for herself. Meanwhile, the same company who's apologizing that it's a boy is flaunting Kardashian's butt and boobs as a way to promote their T-Mobile service. I don't get this. And I almost have to laugh at the whole idea of it is just hypocritical. There's something about it that they're so blind, and I don't think they know who they're marketing to. I don't think they know what they're trying to do. And in that regard, they're completely lost. So, I just had to laugh at that. And, typically I take a break at the 15-minute mark, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm sorry, Paul. I know you're probably waiting for me to say I'm going to take a break. But I am going to roll right into my top 10 douchebags of the week because they actually have things in common with what I've been ranting about. For those of you who've been listening to the show for a long time, you know that the top 10 douchebags of the week come from you good people in social media. If you have not been listening to the show, shame on you, shame on you. But just so you know, if this is your first time, we do not make these things up, although occasionally I will write my own because they are funny. But this week, every one of them came from you guys in social media. And, what's really becoming interesting to me is that I'm starting to see trends. You do things long enough and you see trends in marketing or any of that good stuff. Well, I'm seeing trends on the douchebag list. Now, one of the trends I'm seeing all the time, of course, is the number one spot, which we will get to. But we're going to start out with the top 10 douchebags of the week. At number 10 is Always. Aha, see, there is a tie-in. Always made a commercial about like a girl. And in that commercial, we've been talking about it for the last, 5 minutes. Always is trying to get football people to buy their pads. How many guys are going to go out and buy pads after watching that commercial? I don't think they know what their audience is. It's an interesting dynamic. If I owned Always, of course, I would fire all of these people. To be fair, it probably wouldn't have gotten out of the marketing boardroom anyway. But if I owned Always, I would fire these people twice because it makes no sense. I'm sorry, ladies, you can yell at me if you watch football. You can yell at me if you like the Super Bowl and you watch it because you love the game, or you're a Seahawks fan and you've been since 2013. But technically, football is a dude sport, unfortunately. And here's always marketing maxi pads to men during the Super Bowl. So at number 10, always, you're a douchebag. At number 9 is DHS, Department of Homeland Security, Secretary, for sending threatening letters to sheriffs across the nation that they would pull their funding if the sheriffs don't support amnesty. Yeah. Now, this came from someone in social media. I have not looked this one up yet, but I know that we had a lot of back and forth about the funding for Homeland Security and how we would shut government down and security this, security that. Democrats don't want this. Republicans don't want that. This one really made me kind of pause. They say they're threatening sheriffs across the nation that they would pull funding if they don't support amnesty. Well, you would think that the Department of Homeland Security would realize that part of the issue is the millions of illegals in this country. Yeah, so that kind of goes hand in hand with we shouldn't be giving criminals a free ride. So it kind of makes sense to me. Yeah? Maybe? No? Yeah. So basically what they're saying to them is if you don't do what Obama says, you lose your money. Yeah. So at number 9, they are douchebags. At number 8 is Florida Rep. Alcee Hastings, who called Texas a crazy state during a Rules Committee hearing on Monday on a bill to repeal the Affordable Care Act. He said, and I mean that just as I said it, I told you what I think about Texas. I wouldn't live there for all the tea in China, and that's how I feel. When Texas reps asked for an apology, he said that he would not apologize, that he meant everything he said, and here's his quote, "You will wait until hell freezes over for me to say anything in an apology. I will apologize to you if I was directing my comments to you. I was commenting about the state that you happen to be a resident of. So I'm going to talk crap about Texas, and I might apologize to you, but I'm not going to apologize for the crap I said about Texas." How petty and bitchy are these people? How horrible. This person was nominated by about 4 people. So, Representative Alcee Hastings, you are a douchebag at number 8. At number 7, here is Sally Cohn for her hypocritical article about her Disney princess-loving daughter. She wrote, and I'm going to read from her blog here, "I still can't get decent reception on my cell phone, but somehow traditional gender norms are silently communicated and crystal clear. My partner and I certainly didn't teach our daughter to like pink and ruffles and such, because that's bad. And I can't fathom some genetic or biological nodule that predisposes my girl to like dolls, while little boys like trucks. Baloney. But somehow, even in the midst of our hyper-liberal and hyper-diverse neighborhood, with girls and boys of all kinds on display, it happened. Did I do something wrong? Is feminism mysteriously skipping a generation? Meanwhile, I have to bribe her to wear jeans." That's what she said. That was her blog. Wow. When I write about my children, and I did write about my son earlier this week, when I write about my children, it's always about how amazing they are, how great they are, how proud of them I am. And when I read that, it's almost like Sally's disappointed. Her daughter likes things she doesn't, likes things that she clearly has issues with when it comes to gender. So her daughter's bad? So this is wrong? She's somehow blaming society for changing her daughter into a little girl, when technically she is a little girl. So I guess I don't understand that. And beyond the fact that I hate that line of thinking, to actually blog about that and use your little girl as a means to, I don't know, almost shame females and complain that feminism is wrong or going wrong or having problems. Maybe, Sally, maybe feminism sucks and it's not your kid's fault that you don't understand that. Maybe that's why you're also a douchebag. At number 6, speaking of the Super Bowl, The Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll for the horrible call. I know. Patriot fans, get off my back. I get it. You won. Hey, Tom Brady. Yay, y'all won. But boy, I feel like the Seahawks handed you that game. They made a really bad decision. And, great, the rookie caught the ball. That's really exciting. I know he's a rookie. Yay for him. But it just seemed like a shit way to end that game. And I got to be honest, I'm a little biased because my son is a Seahawks fan, and he was watching the game, and they were coming back, and they were coming back. And then they threw the interception, and my son just melted down. And, I understand that they never really proved either way if there was wrongdoing with Tom Brady's balls. But it kind of feels yucky that they won. It kind of feels like if there was any even perceived notion that they may have cheated to get there, and then they throw an interception and they win based on an interception, it just seems like, I don't know, God must be a Patriots fan because that sucked. That sucked. And at number 6, the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll for that horrible call. At number 5, Nancy Pelosi for her, I gotta work. I can't listen to Netanyahu speak to the House bullshit. I didn't write that. I wrote that down. Technically, it's not just Nancy. All of the Democrats have said they will be not showing up for Netanyahu, that they will be boycotting, that they are too busy. The real reality is they have their noses so buried far up Obama's ass that they don't want to make him unhappy, so they won't be there when Bibi speaks. Because of, Boehner stepped out of line. How dare he? It's a disrespect because Obama didn't know. Wah, wah, wah. Suck it, Democrats, especially you, Nancy Pelosi. Suck it for so many reasons. But for that reason alone, you are a douchebag at number 5. Number 4, T-Mobile and Sarah Silverman for their attack on boys, not to mention their tacky Kim Kardashian push. So, they're insulting men, but they're also trying to play on men at the same time. Hey, boys, you suck. Look at Kim's boobies, They've really sunk to a new level and made me grateful that we have Verizon. I wrote that in there because even though my service sucks in the mountains, they're not shaming little boys for being little boys. I did an article on our Polititainment site earlier this week. I did a blog about my son. And my son is all boy. My son, there is nothing about him. Literally, he's all boy. And I'm sorry if that's a gender norm or whatever the hell they call it. My son is my son. He wrestles with himself in the backyard. He loves football. He doesn't care if his underwear are dirty. He's a boy. And thank God I care if his underwear are dirty. But, he makes fart noises and has fart wars with his dad. And, he's a boy. And I'm so proud of everything about him. And I can't wait to see what kind of man he's going to be, regardless of these idiot bitches who tell me that he shouldn't be a boy. That for whatever reason, we should be ashamed that boys are boys and girls are girls. And my little boy is a badass, and I love him, and he's going to be amazing, and everything about him is a boy. So, at number 4, T-Mobile, and especially you, Sarah Silverman, y'all are douchebags. At number 3 is Ayman Moyaldi. Now, I think he made the list last week. He, of course, made more comments about Chris Kyle. He is another NBC douchebag for saying Chris Kyle went on a killing spree. And then she wrote, he's a real classy dude. It's like Ayman, Ventura, Moore. The left in general continues to melt down because a soldier did his job and he did it well. There were people today saying that it was Sally Cohn, of course it was. And she said that, he was glorifying violence and demonizing the villain and dehumanizing the villains and the enemies and blah, blah, blah. And I just want to say, no, nobody dehumanized these people but these people. It wasn't like Chris Kyle went, oh, I'm going to shoot at you and then I'm going to dehumanize you. No, they were the enemy for a reason, lefties. They are the enemy because they want you dead. Even though you whine and bitch that we're mean to them, they would just as soon chop your head off as they would anybody else's. So all you left crying about Chris Kyle because that movie is awesome and he is an American hero, you all are douchebags at number 3. Number 2, I know you all been waiting for this one. Brian Williams. Aha! It's like Brian Williams and douchebag are like the same thing anymore. I almost have to say he's a douchebag. The claim that his helicopter was hit by an RPG in Iraq literally blew up in his face. Now the NBC anchor is busily apologizing to salvage his reputation and career. Technically, this is stolen valor, guys. What a horrible disrespect. I was in a helicopter and it was shot down. Ugh, oh my God. You know, this is just another reason we have to do something with new media. You know, if you think about it, this is what has become of traditional media. Brian Williams is no hero. He's clearly a fake and a phony, but he was trying, and for some reason, he thought this made sense. I'm going to make up a story so that you will watch me and listen to me. Yeah, that is the problem with traditional media. It's no longer about reporting the news. It's no longer about telling people the truth. What it has become is theater and TV and reality shows and getting you to watch by saying and doing the dumbest shit they can. So Brian Williams, at number 2, not only are you a douchebag, but you are the reason we should do away with traditional media. And now, at number 1, as you all know who've been listening to this show, Obama makes it at number 1 again. But we actually have a reason. Usually I just say things like, hey, you know, he just sucks in general, and that's why he's, you know, the number 1 douchebag. Oh, no, this week there's actually something he did. Obama for his remarks at the National Prayer Breakfast and for telling the world that Christians are no different from Islamic barbarians. Not to mention the horrible incident where the Jordanian pilot was burned to death. King Abdullah quickly executed ISIS prisoners and vowed to take them all on. Obama said they were big meanies and stuff. Yeah. King Abdullah says, I'm going to kick your ass and kill these people. And he did, right? Obama says, oh, they're really a bad group of people and they just want to kill people and destruction and whatever organization they're supporting. And dude, it's Islam and they are terrorists. They are Muslims. Deal with it. You cannot change who they are. Not even by trying to excuse the behavior by bitching about Christians. At the National Prayer Breakfast, he said, Christians have done terrible deeds in the name of Christ. And somehow that is supposed to make things not as horrible. That's supposed to say, well, 1,000 years ago, Christians were really doing bad shit, so it's okay that Muslims are bad now because, yeah, it's all about something or other, and they're bad people, and I got to go golf. That is our president, ladies and gentlemen. And I know you're going to say, oh, I didn't vote for him. He's not my president. He is our president, unfortunately, and he represents us, and the world is laughing at him, and they're laughing at us. And that makes him a douchebag at number 1. I'm going to take a break. We are at the half-hour mark. I'm glad I didn't take the 15-minute break because I had a lot to say about my douchebags. When I come back, I'm going to welcome artist Angie and Clay from Real Serious Nonsense, and they're going to babysit me the last half hour of my show. So stay put. We'll be right back. Coming soon to the 405 Radio.
This guy sucks, but he doesn't suck as bad as this guy. I'm tired of voting for the polished turd. Ew. No way. You got dumbasses going to bowling alleys after they came back from Western Africa 72 hours before. You got a nurse who refuses to be quarantined because, I do what I want, whatever. I can eat bacon while talking to you about Ramadan. Totes. I totes agree. The government is always right. If there's anybody that you can trust, it's certainly the government is.
Your weekly slice of common sense conservatism and ADHD. It's According to Me with Jason DeWilkins, Barack Obama and Mitch McConnell's second most hated internet radio program. Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on the 405 Radio.
Won't you be my neighbor?
You're on the 405.
Hey, are you conservative in the world of liberal?
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah!
Well, you're not the only one. I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice. Each week, I'll bring you the events, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So sit back and get ready to laugh and cry your way through the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio. Every Thursday night at 11 o'clock Eastern, right here on the 405.
I feel pretty.
Don't make her angry.
Pretty.
You wouldn't like it when she's... Told you.
Unapologetically Bunny.
And we're back. Okay, so, since this is live internet radio, I'm going to share with you what's been going on behind the scenes here. I'm working on my husband's Mac to be on show with Skype, and I got to ranting so much about Like a Girl that I ignored the machine, and I didn't touch it enough, and it went dark on me, so I couldn't see the producer in my window telling me what time to come back and talk. I'm honest and I'm transparent here, and that's what we do at Polititainment and on the 405. But I was trying to text him on Facebook at the same time as I'm talking, and I pulled it off somehow. So that tells you that I can multitask like a girl. Thank you very much. And we are back on Unapologetically Bunny. I am your host, Bunny. And we've been talking about stupid magazines. I'm looking down. I got to tell you, I got to stop doing that. Stupid ads. And I believe I have artist Angie and Clay on the line. Are you guys there? Did I lose you when I went dark?
Nope. I'm here, I think.
Angie.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, I probably sound sick. I'm so sorry. If I sneeze or something like that, I apologize in advance. I'm pretty ill. I'm actually sick.
Are you still sick? I didn't know you were sick.
I really think the CDC is going to name the next disease they discover after us.
They are.
Or some voodoo curse or something, because it seems like our luck has just been hell recently.
But this is what's great about luck being hell, and this is what Polititainers do. We charge on, and I managed not to go, oh shit, when I looked down and I didn't have a screen. So, that tells you our level of dedication here, and our ability to actually type something completely different that you're talking about at the same time. I'd like to see Rush Limbaugh do that any day of the week.
By the way, I cannot do that. I'm horrible at it. If I'm doing the show and talking and somebody's typing something in Skype, I can't even look at it. I can't look at Twitter. I can't look at the chat. I'm like, forget y'all. Can't do it.
I didn't think I could do it, but I'm like, holy crap, I don't know when to come back from break. Hello, please see me on Facebook. The Skype has gone down. Oh my God. But that's what keeps it interesting, isn't it? So you two are here. Thank you for babysitting me tonight, since I haven't had any sleep and I'm a kind of a basket case. Basically what folks get now tonight of you, they get basically 90 minutes of real nonsense.
I'm so sorry. That's Clay. I'm so sorry. Clay is typing words in the Skype just to be annoying. It makes me laugh.
Just saw that. Here, let me read to you what he wrote. Angie, marshmallow. And then he wrote it all in caps. Marshmallow. And then he wrote in caps. Marshy Marshmallow. I'm ignoring him. Of course, I'm not looking at the map. I'm probably going to lose my screen again.
Marshy Marshmallow was in the New Kids on the Block, actually.
Marshmallow. Do you remember? Did you guys see the Blair Witch? And this is totally, I'm just brain dead. Do you remember in Blair Witch when they're getting ready and they're in the store and she's filming and she goes, marshmallows, and she goes in the camera and hits them? Never mind.
Yeah, she has a runny nose when she does that too.
Does she have her? Okay. And we are here on Unapologetically Bunny. It's unapologetically nonsensical Bunny tonight. But for not being overly prepared, I was able to bitch and moan about Sarah Silverman and Like a Girl for a good 20 minutes, which says a lot about how angry I was about that. Did you guys watch the Super Bowl?
I caught the second half of it. I actually missed the first half. So I think I came in right at the Like a Girl commercial, and I immediately opened Twitter, and I think I tweeted nothing, but I opened Twitter, so that's how outraged I was.
I did not watch the Super Bowl because I have Clay in my life who says, hey, this was stupid, look at this, and then he sends me the link. And so I watched all the commercials, and I watched Left Shark, who couldn't dance correctly or whatever.
Left Shark?
Yeah, I watched him, but that's the only part of the Super Bowl I saw.
Who said that the shark on the left was maybe a Make-A-Wish kid or something, and that that was so horrible? Do you know
that was me. I actually seen a great tweet. I don't know who it was from, so I'm just making sure I don't take credit. But it said the left shark is the shark that America deserves.
tell you, and I mean, Katy Perry's okay, but that probably was the best halftime show I've seen in a long time. And I am a Missy Elliott fan. I know people, oh my God, Missy Elliott sucks. I thought she looked great. I totally marked out when she came out. So I didn't get overly distracted by the dancing brain dead shark, but that's pretty funny. The shark on the left is what America deserves. That poor shark.
That. Whoever made that up, if they hear this show, I like you. You should follow me, and I will follow you back.
Yeah. Angie is devoted. If you follow her, she will follow you. Yeah. America. That, I have to tell you, I get a little snarky and I'm just tired, and I'm usually snarky anyway, but I'm like double snarky, and I've been mocking how other people promote their shows, so I probably will have some karma. That's probably why my screen went dead, because I was making fun of other people and their emojis and things out on Twitter. But that was funny. We always joke about, and this is something I think as conservatives or whatever Clay is, I can never remember, and you're kind of T-Lottish. Something we need to work on with messaging is, because far too often we come out and we think, well, we're going to say, I'm taking this country back, America, and that somehow inspires people to do something. I think, and I think what you guys do on Real Serious Nonsense is, besides making people laugh, you remind us of the very human side of what we're trying to do. And I think, how do you think we can get other conservatives, I'm going to make you talk, how do you think we can get other conservatives to stop with the crap about the crying eagles and crying Statue of Liberty in America, and really talk about what we need to be working on?
So, to say that our show puts a very human side on things, I thank you. That's extremely generous.
But
if by human side you mean the pot smoking, rolling around in the grass side, then yes, absolutely.
The funny side of us, because they're always talking about how people on the right or conservatives or whatever the hell you are, people always say how uptight we are. They're always like, you have no sense of humor, and you don't like being people, and you guys, everything you do is very human. And yeah, smoking pot and rolling in the grass and making jokes about spy dolphins, I think that's great. How do we get that into the real messaging, so that we get over the stick up our ass messaging and get to the reality of being a human being and being a conservative?
I think it's a really hard task. Like, even today, I had trouble. I have a friend on
I'm
Facebook,
surprised.
And he's I know. I actually have a friend. Can you believe it? But he's on Facebook, and he's very out. He's very out there. Like, he is the conservative that you're going to find, and he just doesn't take anything. He's just always posting things just to make people mad. He's just like,
is this someone I know?
No, you don't know him.
Okay.
I'm going to kill Clay. He's putting my most hated number in the world in the Skype chat right now. But anyway, this guy, he'll post he will post the crying eagle one minute, and then the next minute he's gonna say all liberals are communists. He's just, that's what he's gonna do, and he attracts the left side that is just as crazy as he is.
Yeah.
And I usually try to avoid it, and I just sit back and laugh at it. But the other day I just was laughing so hard, and I was just I posted on his Facebook. I was like, whenever I just need a laugh, I go to your Facebook and I watch this, because there's this one dude that I don't care. He can post I'm eating cereal, and this one guy from the left will get on there and he's like, cereal, Republicans want to take away cereal, and want to give money to the banks or something like that with it. And so I just crack up at this guy. I don't care. He's just hilarious. He doesn't mean to be. I mean, he's just like that. And so we ended up in this discussion, and the guy saw me basically saying this about him, and he's had a couple run-ins with me. He's just a rude person. But I try to be polite, but even me, sometimes I can't be just perfectly polite. I had to tell the guy that he's just a pompous
goat.
I called him an a-hole, but I didn't say the whole word. And so he's just rude. Some people are just rude, and they can't get over themselves. And I think that as far as the right goes, a lot of times they're just stuck in their own bubble, and they can't get out of it, especially the DC mentality. They're more concerned about being able to go to the parties and being invited to things and having people like them than they are about the actual stuff that matters. And I don't know that they're going to get out of that unless more people start saying you need to get out of that.
Now, to be fair, there are some people on the left that hate certain people enough, and I'm one of those people. I could say the sky is blue, and they're like, "Die, bitch, die." I think they're very sensitive. So the idea that they react to your friend that way is funny. But at the same time, when I see people writing all in caps and saying, you can be a woman and a conservative, freedom, America. I feel like that doesn't say anything anymore. And I feel like if we're spewing bumper stickers, I've always called the left the party of bumper stickers. They're all hope and change, amnesty, gay sex, whatever. They've always been bumper stickers. And I think when we are America, take our country back, I feel like we're starting to do that. And we're failing if we're repeating that kind of behavior. And so in grassroots, I'm going to ask you, Clay, because you've been quiet. What do you think we can do to inspire people to knock that off? Because I think it's very off-putting, and I agree with these people usually.
I mean, it really comes down to, and it's true. I mean, a lot of people look at quote-unquote conservatives, and they think that they all have a stick up their ass, and that's how the media paints us, them, whatever you call yourself. That's how they paint us. I think really we just have to make them laugh at the ridiculous nature of the liberals. Point at the feminists. Point out all their crazy stuff. We got some great stuff. We got a great feminist story. I don't want to go into that because I totally could. It's a great feminist story on our show. So there's our tease.
Yay, it's a tease. There's a tease for them.
It's those kind of things, how they can say one thing, say one thing and say something else, like Hillary Clinton with the vaccination thing. I mean, it's just
Grandma knows best. Oh God, that was horrible. But don't talk about vaccinations, because God forbid, I have never seen. Okay, I always thought like talking about Iraq or talking about terrorism would be. Talking about vaccinations is like shit hits the fan, and it is not a pleasant conversation, because now that Hillary Clinton has said, get vaccinated, if you say, I agree kids should get vaccinated, you're immediately a progressive loon or something. That has been crazy, because, people have been having that debate all week. So don't talk about vaccinations, and I won't either. You mentioned...
We're going to talk about it later. Oh, we really are. We're going to talk about that on our show.
There's another tease. You all are teasing my audience. No, you talk about crazy feminists. And I talk about feminism a lot on my show because I deal with a lot of crazy feminists, because the people who hate me the most are liberal men, or men on the left, and feminists. And I'm wondering, Angie, you have a gift. You really do. In that, I make somebody mad, they get, so they yell at me and I cut them down. And when it's the end of it, you have a way of dialoguing with even crazy feminists where they are like, oh, I'm sorry, I was an asshole to you. Let's be friends. Do you think it's crazy and weird? Do you think that we need to do more of that when we're getting, because for me, it usually is, not nice. It's die, bitch, die. Is there a way that we can open a dialogue with people like that? Because you managed to do it.
I think that we need both of those things. I think that, just like, this is going to sound weird, and I'm going to kind of get like spiritual on you guys, but I do think that God created us all with a special and unique personality and ability for reasons. And I think that we need both of that. I think that we need the person who comes in and says, forget you, go suck a bag of potatoes, or whatever you would normally say. And then
I hear lots of that. Lots of suck a bag of potatoes. That's me. Yeah.
Yes. And then I think that, and for me, I really don't know how I do it, because I'm really sarcastic and I can be very rude. Like, I'm pretty blunt and I'm pretty direct, but for some reason, it's like some kind of superpower I have where people just decide that they like me and they'll talk to me. I had a guy the other day, like, I posted some kind of Obama joke. I don't even remember what it was. And this little kid, I mean, he couldn't have been like maybe 18, I guess. He was like a hipster. And he says, I don't like people like you. And I said, I just tweeted back and I said, well, now I have the sads. That makes me so sad, And then he tweeted back to me, and we just went back and forth a couple times. And by the end of it, I actually found the tweet where he said it. He said, "Okay, you win. You're cool. I like you." But it was just like we went back and forth. We talked about a couple of things. I said, what do you not like about me? How do you know you don't like me? You don't know this. And then it ended up my daughter likes the same bands as he liked.
Bonded over terrible music.
Yep, bonded over terrible music. And then he was like, okay, I quit. You win. You're cool. But I think that like some of those kind of things, like if you can I can be like, I throw out some sarcastic stuff and I throw out some, you're just crazy. And then there's some people that you just can't talk to and you just have to say, go away. You're just
suck a bag of potatoes.
Yes.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that now. It's gotten so bad with me, and I'll own this, that I have started researching ways to tell people to fuck off online, because I always say it so directly that I want to be a little more creative in how I'm saying it. And so I've gone online and I've started researching creative ways to do it. And there's some funny stuff out there. But I really feel like, and it's those people who you can't say, well, what don't you like about me? What can I, what don't you understand? You can have those conversations with that kind of person, but somebody who comes out and, tells you that you're some guy hiding behind a chick, or, they say dumb things, you need to be able to creatively tell them to go suck a bag of potatoes.
Yes, I agree.
So
I don't
that's
deal
what you're
with
saying.
as much direct trolling as you do either. Like, I mean, there's nobody coming to my timeline and saying, "Hey, Angie's a guy, and she has 12 children and is on welfare," or something like that. Like, I don't have that happening on my timeline. And usually when anything like that happens, I don't really fight back. I just block them and make a report. Like, I don't engage them in any way. It's just not my personality, but that's not to say that that's how it should be. I just think that, like I said before, I think that we have different talents that should be utilized by the conservative movement in different ways. I mean, everybody's different. I just think that the biggest problem with the conservatives is, especially the GOP, is they only find one way to message themselves. They don't try to branch out. I'm not saying that one way is the only way. I'm just saying they should try different avenues, because there's different people with different talents. And especially in culture, the conservatives are basically giving away like the movie culture and things like that. They really need to they need to get back into it. They need to take over things like how we do on Twitter. I mean, conservative Twitter can take over a hashtag in like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, and there are some clever people out there on the conservative side, and I think those in a hashtag. If you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter, people. By the way, but if you can go on a hashtag, if it's really getting brutal in debates, and because it can get really bad when you're talking about things with the left and you're fighting and bickering, and it can get ugly. Those hashtags are like a moment of just giggling and laughing, and we say some screwed up stuff because that's Twitter. But I think that's also really healthy for the conservatives to get out there and do conservative Twitter. I know that's how I got started, and how I got any kind of notoriety was going on those tags and saying funny stuff. And I know you guys do that as well.
Yeah.
Hell, Angie, you trend your own tags all the time.
I trended the Nationwide movie the other day. I was so proud of it.
Dude, it was like #1 for like 2 days or something.
Yeah, I was really proud of that.
The only trend I've ever started was add pork to a movie. And that was
add pork to a movie.
Add pork to it was after, it was the Oxford University, the publisher has said, to the writers, please don't talk about pork and bacon because it's offensive. And so we put pork and bacon and ham and pork chops in the movies. And it's like the only thing I've ever trended. I'm so proud of my pork contribution. But, I think there's a lot to be said for that one line of messaging. And I think we see a lot of that one line messaging in the conservative media.
Well, I do too. And they all end up, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have that messaging. They can have it, and that's fine. I'm just saying they need to branch out and have other things too.
And how do we do that? Is it a matter of new media? Is it grassroots? Do we just keep doing what we're doing and hope they eventually pay attention? Or
I don't know. Clay seems to be typing a lot in the chat, so he must have some kind of big idea about it.
I wasn't listening. I seen that Bunny sent food in the Skype chat, and I kind of started drooling a little bit. So I don't have any big idea. I really do think that it's, we have to keep doing what we're doing, and then just show everybody, hey, we can have fun. I think that all too much is lost, and I understand some of the issues we fight about externally and internally within the right side of the spectrum there, between some of it's serious stuff like abortion. There's absolutely nothing funny about abortion. We just have to find a way. See, this is why I stay muted, because beefaroni during an abortion conversation kind of makes me want to laugh and feel terrible.
But yeah, you bring up a good point, and sometimes I feel like we take ourselves too seriously. So there's got to be a better balance, and there's got to be a way to engage and ultimately get past the telling someone to go suck a bag of potatoes or, giving in, and having real discussions with people who might disagree with you. Because I think ultimately we're going to have to do that. But beyond, you brought up a good point. We fight within the party as it is. Well, we don't get along with each other.
You're not conservative enough.
Yeah, we get that a lot. You're not conservative a lot. There is a side of the party, especially within the Republican Party, our infighting is a lot more public and a lot more dirty and a lot more like black and white. The left, they do have infighting and they do have disagreements, but they will take each other's back. Like Harry Reid could kill somebody on the news. Nobody would care. Like the left, they would be like, he didn't really do that. That didn't really happen. I don't care if you saw it happen. They would have each other's back. They would just surround each other. They would go down.
No. Tea Party made him do it, and so it's Tea Party's fault. It's always someone else. They really protect their own, don't they?
Yes.
Even when their own are pieces of shit and do terrible things, they protect them. On our side, you could fart in public, and we're going to take you out because that is who we are. And we got to get beyond that. And when you said you're not conservative enough, Clay, you know how many times I've heard that because of my stance on gay marriage and how it's really none of my damn business. I have lost followers. I have had fights with conservatives because of my stance on that. We're not cookie cutters. We're not robots. And nobody thinks just one way. And who gets to decide what is and is not conservative enough? And we've got to get beyond. That's just snotty ass behavior.
Right, I think especially when you're preaching the word, when the battle cry is the word liberty, you can't constantly try to say, well, we have to do this, we have to do that, we need between gay marriage, once again, that's a can of worms I don't want to open, but we're kind of contradictory on some things. We have to work that out, but we shouldn't be arguing with each other over that. We catch enough flack for everything else.
I always tell people, I'm like, I piss people off on the left, I piss people off on the right. I don't get along with anybody. And I think that is one of the things, unfortunately, that we need in some of this grassroots is you have to be willing to say stuff that is not popular sometimes as well. And so I think that goes back to Angie's point about the balance of, Angie could make a serial killer nice. And I could make a priest, want to hurt me. So I think, though, there's a really good balance. And Clay, you just make us all laugh about Doritos and wheat. But I think that balance is what is good in what we do in our 4-hour block. The other's my plug. Jason's personality is a lot like mine. He's really out there and he's in your face. He and I disagree on stuff, but we're able to talk about it without hating each other. Daniel Stafford at the end, he's kind of our voice of reason, but he's also funny. There are so many layers that work together. How do we share that? How do we get people to notice besides making them listen to the shows?
I think that you just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I don't know very many people that have what you and Clay together have, 80,000 followers. You have about 40K each. I mean, that's a big deal. That people, just regular people who just started tweeting, like, I know for a fact that Clay started tweeting with Obama ate a dog jokes. So you can start, just by wherever your personality is, just to find a place to talk about it. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people are just ashamed to admit that they're Republicans or conservative.
And
they're just ashamed to even talk about it.
I don't get that. I'll be honest, the first tweet that ever got attention really got, the threats until people told me to die in a fire. There was a thing of what has the GOP done? and I hopped in and said, that whole ending slavery thing, you're welcome. Well, that didn't go over very well. It was like baptism by fire, because I think I had been really actively tweeting for maybe a month, and I was done. I was ready to quit. But it was also really good because then I realized I could say shit that made people mad. And then it became a bigger thing, and then it grew. So yeah, he tweeted about Obama eating dogs. I was mean to the left. I guess you're right. I guess for all of us, there's a niche, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like I said, people are going to think that I'm like overly spiritual or whatever, but I do think that we were equipped and made by a creator. I believe, I call him God. But I think that he equipped us all with different things and different personalities for a reason. And do I think that he's sitting up there going, oh, it's so important that this person uses their talent in order to let the GOP win? No, I don't think that. But I do think that he gave us all certain talents and abilities in order to make our lives better and live the way that he wants us to live. And for me, that happens to coincide with like more with the right than the left.
I think that's a good point. And I think that you are a really good balance of spiritual without being a theocrat. And we get a lot of flack about the theocracy within the right. And you have a really beautiful way, Angie, of being spiritual and loving and giving. And I think all things that we believe, Christians or whatever faith you are, that's what they should be. And I think if we can share what you're doing, that messaging more, I think that whole the GOP hates gays thing would go away, because it really is about love and compassion and the spiritual goodness, and you have that.
Well, I think that a lot of people, especially and I myself, I grew up in the church. I grew up as a Christian. I've been in church for a long time, and I can tell you firsthand, Christians can sometimes be the meanest and cruelest and most judgmental people ever, especially within the church. So for me, I don't find my faith or my religion or my views to be something that I push on somebody. I'll talk about them, and I talk about them unashamed about it. I'll go out there. I'm pretty bold about it. I'm pretty upfront. I'm pretty straightforward, but I'm not going to tell somebody that they have to think and believe the same thing I do, because I think that liberty is very important and freedom is very important. And if you do it in the right manner and they hear about it enough and they see what kind of person you really are and what you're really believing, they're going to come that way eventually. So, I mean, it might take them years, and maybe they don't ever do it, but they would at some point.
And I think that is such a great way of looking at that. And, I think it's a really good way of addressing that. You guys are all religious and you're all judgmental, and the way you phrase that is excellent. We should write that down, and people should have to tweet that when anytime someone says you're a theocrat, because I think that's a great part of the right, and that our goodness and our spirituality, and there's got to be a way of being that without being judgmental. And I think that's a great point. You guys have made my second half hour go by really way too fast. I always enjoy having you on. We talk so much via chat and everywhere else. So this is really kind of just getting to hang out with some of my best friends. So I think that is so cool. You guys are on next with real serious nonsense. You guys, you get a whole another hour of these two. I'm going to bail because their show doesn't need any more craziness. But I do want you guys, I know you talk about this on your own show, but tell people where they find you in social media. Angie, you go first.
You can find me on Twitter at @artist_Angie, and I don't care if you find me on Facebook.
I'm just drinking Kool-Aid. Don't do that. Clay, where do people find you?
You can find me at Pointless Poll, but you can also find us here in a few minutes, so we'd rather you hang out for that and hear all the goodness.
Yeah, please stay around, because there probably would not have been a Bunny Show tonight without these two coming in and helping me out with that ever good assist in that second half hour. I don't think I'd have made it. I've been asleep. We are just about done with this week, y'all. I've looked in that chat. Y'all have been around 30 to 40 people. Thank you so much for being here with us again. I understand time is valuable. You have lots of things you could be doing, and you spent this time with me. Please spend some more time with Real Serious Nonsense next, and hang around for the Stafford Voice. We here at Polititainers on the 405, we send you big smoochies and we care about you. Have a great weekend. I will talk to you next week, and hopefully I'm more awake. Thanks again, guys, and take care. Bye-bye.
I love Tammy.
I love you back, Kurt, because I'm a caring kind of gal.
The Tammy Jackson Show.
I'm just one conservative gal encouraging you to keep fighting the good fight.
Tammy is what conservative insurgency is about.
Tammy Jackson, the granddaughter of legal immigrants.
In Honduras, they had 60,000 murders per 100,000, or something like that. And I thought, whoa, that is a lot.
Like every other person on the block is dead.
Tammy Jackson, the emerging threat from the West Coast.
Tammy has made herself into a rising radio star.
When we have these mass amounts just suddenly pour into the United States, we have a worse problem than we already have had with assimilation.
The Tammy Jackson Show, Tuesday nights 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on the 405media.com.
Anything for you, Tammy.
Off the Grid.
And he's also the only person I've ever seen that could write, "My dog just rolled over on Facebook," get like 62 likes.
I'm also, just a correction, I'm the best looking person in social media too.
Off the Grid with Matt Hochman and Beckett Adams.
You have men in the United States Army running for cover and hoping the police show up.
You know, the base is a soft target that's filled with brave Americans, but they got their hands tied.
I'm sure the jihadists completely consider it a soft target. It's like a shopping mall, or like you said, a school. It's probably worse than a shopping mall, because at least here in Arizona, you're allowed to carry.
In several of these shootings, Jared Lautner in Arizona, the Sandy Hook shooting, a number of these shootings always involved somebody who was desperately unhealthy in the head, but for some reason, the argument always turns into, get away from my gun. What can we do to maybe help people like this?
New day, same time. Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Only on the 405